James was a man who had everything, or so it seemed. His life was a carefully constructed fortress of money, charm, and power. From his penthouse apartment, the city below was a glittering testament to his success, a kingdom he ruled with an iron fist and a confident smirk. People orbited him, men with envy in their eyes, women with adoration in their smiles. But James held a deep-seated contempt for what he considered the ultimate human folly, love. He called it a weakness, a sentimental trap for the ordinary masses, a concept he had long since dismissed. At every high society gathering, he was the center of attention, a magnetic force surrounded by the flash of cameras and the echo of hollow laughter. He thrived on the admiration, but detested the idea of attachment. His friends, men who had known him for years, often joked that even Cupid, the mythical archer of desire, would give up on him. And in his heart, James believed they were right. Love was a game he refused to play. One cool evening, standing on the balcony of a luxurious penthouse, the city lights painting streaks across the dark canvas of the sky, his best friend Ryan poured 2 glasses of vintage wine. The night breeze rustled the lapels of his expensive suit as Ryan raised his glass. "You know, someday, you'll meet someone who will make you forget all this," Ryan said, gesturing to the opulent scene around them. James let out a short, dismissive laugh. "Love, my dear friend, love is for people who have nothing else to chase." He clinked his glass against Ryan's, a toast to his own self-imposed emptiness. But life, with its penchant for irony, was already preparing a lesson he would never see coming. Weeks later, at a charity event his company was sponsoring, he met her. There were no cinematic fireworks, no slow-motion turn of heads. It was just a quiet, unassuming woman named Elena, helping to arrange chairs before the wealthy guests arrived. She wasn't adorned in diamonds or draped in designer fabrics. She wore a simple white dress and a serene smile that seemed to seek no one's approval. James, preoccupied with his own importance, didn't even notice her at first. But when she accidentally spilled a cup of coffee on his bespoke jacket, she looked up, her expression a mixture of panic and genuine apology. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said, her voice soft and steady. In that moment, something inside James flickered. Not the familiar spark of anger, but something else entirely, something he couldn't name. He brushed off the incident with a curt, "It's fine, just be careful next time," and walked away, eager to rejoin the glittering crowd. Yet, for reasons that eluded him, her voice lingered in his mind. It was calm, genuine, and utterly real, a stark contrast to the calculated pleasantries he was used to. Over the next few weeks, their paths seemed to cross with an uncanny frequency. He saw her at a small cafe downtown, at the art gallery his company sponsored, and once, even outside his own office building, where she was handing out food to the homeless. He didn't understand why he kept noticing her, why his gaze was drawn to her each time. It wasn't love. He repeated that mantra to himself again and again. But there was something about her unadorned simplicity that presented a silent, profound challenge to his world of luxury and lies. One rainy night, his chauffeured car broke down on a quiet, tree-lined road leading out of the city. His driver had gone to find help, leaving James to wait inside, his patience wearing thin with every passing minute. Frustration mounted as the rain beat a relentless rhythm on the roof of the car. Then a pair of headlights cut through the gloom. It was a small scooter, and riding it was Elena, soaked from the downpour, on her way home from her volunteer work. She stopped, her eyes widening in recognition. "Do you need help?" she asked, her voice carrying over the sound of the rain. His pride, a fortress in itself, screamed at him to refuse. He didn't accept help from anyone, especially not from someone like her, someone who represented everything he wasn't. But the rain grew heavier, and her offer was so plainly kind. She handed him an umbrella from her scooter's basket. "You don't have to be strong all the time, you know," she said simply. That sentence struck him with more force than any insult ever had. For the first time, James was confronted with an act of kindness that had no motive, no hidden desire for his fame or fortune. It was just pure, unadulterated human warmth. They stood together under that single umbrella, the rain dripping from its edges, creating a small, sheltered space in the stormy night. In that brief, silent moment, James felt something he had never experienced before, a profound and unexpected sense of peace. The next day, compelled by a feeling he couldn't ignore, James invited Elena for coffee to thank her. She was hesitant, almost refusing, but he insisted. When they finally met, their conversation didn't revolve around his business ventures, his travels, or his wealth. They talked about dreams and fears, about failures and small joys, about real things. James found himself listening more than he spoke, a complete reversal of his usual role. Elena's laughter wasn't loud or attention-grabbing, but it was genuine. It didn't echo in grand rooms. It echoed in the quiet chambers of his heart. Days melted into weeks, and before he fully comprehended the shift within him, James began canceling important meetings just to spend an hour with her. His friends noticed the change. The confident smirk was often replaced by a gentle smile. Ryan, ever observant, teased him. "So the heartless prince has finally found his queen?" James just smiled and said nothing. For the first time in his life, he was discovering that silence, when shared with the right person, could be more beautiful than any symphony. But perfection is a fleeting illusion, and the world James had built on ego and control began to tremble. Business rivals, sensing a crack in his armor, spread vicious rumors. Key investors, spooked by the whispers, pulled out. Projects that were once his crowning achievement started to collapse, and just as quickly the crowd that had once cheered for him vanished into thin air. His phone fell silent. His invitations went unanswered. In the echoing emptiness of his life, only one person remained: Elena. She didn't offer him money or strategic solutions. She offered him her presence, her unwavering support, and somehow that was more than enough. However, James's colossal pride couldn't handle the fall. He couldn't bear to be seen as weak, especially not by her. One night, consumed by frustration and a lifetime of conditioned self-reliance, he lashed out, "I don't need your pity, Elena. I can handle my own mess." The words were sharp, cruel, and designed to push her away. Her eyes filled not with anger, but with a quiet, profound disappointment. She didn't argue or raise her voice. She simply looked at him, her gaze piercing through his defenses, and said, "I never offered you pity, James. I only offered you love." And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving him alone in the wreckage of his own making. In that moment, the man who had always mocked love, the man who saw it as a weakness, finally understood what true emptiness felt like. His magnificent apartment was no longer a castle but a cage, and the city lights outside seemed to mock him with their cold, indifferent sparkle. He had everything he had ever chased, but he had lost the one thing that truly mattered.